Hi guys, Andy here. Now, I reckon if you went back 3 or 4 years ago, I had this kind of a strange obsession with storage, like micro USB keys, SD cards. I don't know, I just wanted to buy the biggest, most amazing one. You know, nowadays you get 128 gig on a tiny little micro SD card, for example. But now I've moved on. I think I've got this obsession with mobile batteries. And my latest one is this Aukey 12,000 milliamp hour fast charger. So I'd not particularly got into fast charging as a concept much until recently. And I'm realizing it's not just about how many amps and watts you can push through. It has to have the actual technology to be able to sort of communicate with your phone. Well, that's my understanding anyway. So I'd seen this Aukey one and I thought, well, let's give it a go then, because it's not as big as others I've had. I've had a Zero Lemma 20,000 milliamp hour. My day-to-day device is a 14,000 milliamp hour, and that's the one I sort of take away on holidays and things, you know, just to make sure I've got something with me. But actually, when I was on holiday recently, it was quite a pain that it did take a little while for it to charge up. You know, I could plug it in my pocket and keep using the phone, which is great. But it would take some time for it to gradually push the power back up to the top. So I thought, actually, yeah, sort of a quick charge one would be quite handy. Now, the first thing I noticed about this is it's quite large. There's no denying it's quite a long device. We see there the light on the power button. If we hold that down, we get a little flash torch. Hold down again to turn it off. We can also see in the end there, on the left is a regular 1 amp charger, and on the right, the orange one, there we go, now focus, is the fast charge, and then in the middle is the micro USB that you charge from. So the power button, it flashes different colours depending on how much power is in the device. If it's white, it's 60% and above. If it's green, it's 20% to 60%, and if it's red, it's below 20%. So we can see there's some of the specs that it has. It feels a little plasticky, but at the same time, not necessarily cheap, just a little plasticky. I think generally actually it feels quite well put together. That gives you a bit of an example of its size. It is quite a long device, and it wouldn't sort of necessarily fit in your pocket as well. Maybe in your back pocket poking out. Obviously definitely no problem to fit into a bag of any kind to transport around. Let's just double check what else is in the box. Oh, it's just a micro USB cable. Fine, you know, obviously you need one. It's obviously quite short in length, which is not a bad thing as long as you're not needing to transfer. Sometimes I have the battery in my back pocket and the phone in my front pocket, and I don't think that cable would be long enough to do that. So there we see it, it's glowing green at the moment, so it's somewhere between 20 and 60% as it's shipped to me. So I'll need to get it charged all the way to full before we start the testing, but I'll do that overnight and I'll begin the testing. What we can see though is with it plugged into the Nexus 6. Now obviously it mentioned it being sort of Qualcomm certified, so I did wonder, oh, does that mean it will only work with my Nexus 6? Because my Note 5 doesn't have a Qualcomm processor. Now you can see here it's starting off kind of 1.5 amps. I did see it up over 2,000 sort of almost straight away the first time I plugged it in. I had to re-record a bit of video and it's only showing 1.5. Now I'm aware as well that Ampere is not necessarily the most accurate bit of software, but I think it gives you a reasonable idea of what it's doing. And you see now gradually it's sort of creeping back up towards 2 amps. So I thought, okay, well, let's see, does it actually work with the Note 5? So we swap over to that, and again, running Ampere. We wait for the measurement, and it comes in at only 1 amp. We are plugged into the 2 amp port, but only 1 amp is coming through. It doesn't, if you plug in a sort of a proper Samsung adaptive fast charger, or whichever they're called, it does say at the top in the notification bar, fast charger or fast charger connected or something like that, and that didn't actually happen when I plugged this in. But what I did notice, it does say, if we go to the notification bar, fast charging. Now, at this point, the phone's only at 19%, and it's saying it's going to be fully charged in just over an hour, look. Now, the other point being, the rate of charge does change the higher the charge gets. So as you get up sort of, I don't know, 70 or 80%, the rate slows down a bit, so it wouldn't actually charge as quick as just over an hour. But it's a good indication that actually it will charge pretty damn swift. Here we can see the indication light in action. So at this point it's flashing red, which means it's right down to the last few percent. It's not going to last much longer, and you definitely want to get your battery pack back on charge. So I thought, well, let's fully charge it. You can see there it's back to a white light, and let's get some stats basically. So in this one we have the Nexus 6. I took it right the way down to 8% on the battery, and then I plugged it into the charger, and in 30 minutes it charged back 35%, and in an hour that just purely doubled to 70%. So pretty good result, I would say. Charged to full in well less than 2 hours. So now let's see what the Note 5, which had been only showing the 1 amp, but it was showing that it was fast charging. Now this was charging from a similarly very low position. The first 30 minutes it went 44%, and in the hour it matched the Nexus 6 with 70%. Now I think that's because this charged from about 18%, where the Nexus 6 charged from 8%. So possibly it moved up into the upper category where it doesn't charge quite as quick for the last bit, therefore it couldn't keep up its fast rate of 44% every 30 minutes. If we move on to stats of how the battery itself performed in a capacity sense, I did 2 runs because I think they do get a little better after sort of, well, maybe even 3, 4 or 5 uses. But obviously I can't wait that long. That could be months before I've used it that many times. So on the first run, I got 2 full charges, one of the Note 5 and one of the Nexus 6. You can see the percentages they charge from and to, and therefore roughly the milliamp hours used. Now, you'll see, obviously, there it's only just under 6,600 milliamp hours used in total. Or obviously, it's claiming 12,000. Now, you never get a direct comparison. You will never get all 12,000. But I would have hoped for a bit more than 6.5. To be honest, I would have been hoping sort of 7.5, somewhere around there. Anyway, so the second run, I got quite a few more charges. I mean, 4 full charges. Oh, no, it wasn't. There was a 66 pen in there as well. So, yeah, you would get about 4 charges, though, roughly, maybe 3.5. And this time we used 6,700 and a bit milliamp hours. So, a small improvement. And maybe the third and the fourth run, we might see it pushing up into just over the 7,000. So, don't take it as an direct. If my Note 5's got 3,000, this thing will not charge it from flat 4 times. Definitely not. But it'll do at least 2, 2.5, maybe even 3 from 15-20%. In reality as well, these phones, they've got amazing batteries. Quite often you only need to charge from about 50% each day. And actually this would do it 3 or 4 times fairly comfortably. So if you're going away for the weekend like I just did, this is an ideal thing to take with you, to know that you've got that fast charge capability. Charging the battery itself is quite a lengthy process. I used what I would call a regular charger while I was at work. I plugged it in, having run it flat. As I was going home 8 and a bit hours later, it still wasn't finished. I mean, I say a regular charger. It was one I used to charge my iPad at work. Obviously with the different connector used at the end. I brought it home and finished it off on my fast charger. Then the next time I'd fully used the battery up, I plugged it in with my the fast charger I use for my Note 5, and it did charge overnight. So in sort of, well, it had to have been less than 7 hours because I plugged it in when I went to sleep, and I woke up 7 and a bit hours later and it was done. So it is quicker if you use a fast charger. Whether or not it actually technically uses the fast charge capability, I'm not sure. So all in all, it's a little bit big, it's a little bit bulky, so it's not quite as portable as some, but at the same time its fast charge capabilities, I think, really quite impressive, and I quite like the device. I like the notification light on the power button in that it's not overly bright. I have had somewhere when you press to see the lights, they're too bright. They light, that might light up your room overnight if you're charging through the night, but this one is just a nice dull glow. So there we go, the Aukey 12,000 milliamp hour portable fast charge battery, available for about £17 on Amazon. There'll be a link in the description below. Highly recommended by me. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.